Okay, so let's change that. Let me see if I can bring that file up. I've closed it. Okay, and that's the file. It needs to close this one. So the file is somewhere here. That's the file here. Okay, it's here. So I just need this one, so I'll keep that as focus, and then I save a copy, and then I change the format here to CSV. Be careful, there are quite a different CSV types. There's the Macintosh and there's this. So select this one, which is the Microsoft DOS CSV. Select that. And then I'm saving it to the desktop as well. I just want to give it a slightly different name. Let me put a 2. And then I save. Yes, it's telling me about the contains multiple sheets to ensure active sheets is okay. So yeah, if I want to save only the active sheet, which is this one, I said, okay, if not, then I have to cancel and then redo it again. But I'm okay with this. Okay, so that is that. I've closed that. Let me bring back my screen. I guess you can still see my screen. So now I want to bring that in and do task, all data. Next. Then it's still, I can still select Excel, but this time I'll select a flat file, and then it's asking me for where it is. I want to browse to the place where it saved it. It's not a text file, it's a CSV. And then you can see here, I can choose, you see all files, CSV and text. So this is the file. And then I select that and then click OK, open. Sorry, this one, yeah. Click open. Okay, here you have to be careful. First of all, what I normally do, I leave everything, and here where it says the delimiter, I put a double quote in here. Yep, and then I can check. Okay, that is looking good to me. Okay, and you can see, and then I can change the data type for each of these ones. But for now, I will just leave it by what Excel, the engine has identified the data type as. And then I click next. And then it's asking me, where am I taking it to? And then I take it to SQL. Be careful, it's the last one. It's the SQL provider here. This one here. Okay. Primary provider. You can see different types, but this is the one we are after. Right. Okay. That is the database where it is going into. That's the database I selected from. Click on, and then it's telling me now my destination. I can change the name, right? This is the name it wants to give that. I don't want that name, and then I want to call it, what did they call it? I think it's the sales data. So I'll just call, that is the, I'll call it the sales, right? I just call it DBO sales. Okay, and then if I want to do any editing, I can do here. You can see the data type, was bringing in everything. This one, I know is these ones are, they should not be strings. So I'll cancel, I'll go back. I'll go and change the data type for these ones. Go back. And here where it says advanced, I can change. Yeah, this is date. I can change that to date. You see that here's a data type. You select that, and then it drop down. I'm looking for date. And here is date. Select date. That is okay. String. That's okay. That's okay. Code. That's okay. This one, I want it as numbers. I don't want it as text. So I'll select float, which I will tell you more about these data types next week, next class. And this one, I change it to float as well. Then this one, I change it to float as well. Okay. So I can go ahead now. So next, I'll have to change my name again to source. Okay. And I can preview my data. Where it's going to look. I can say close. Click on next. I hope I don't have it open. I don't. Okay, I can do another preview. You can expand this way. You can see. Click on next. Yeah, I said run immediately, and then finish. And it's loading the data in, and it's loaded 800 rows. Okay, click close. Do a refresh on these tables. I should have that table in here now, which is that. I can do select 1000, and that's the data coming through. And it has brought them in according to the way I wanted it. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So what I want to do next, this is the data we're going to use for our Power BI. And I want to go into a little bit of modeling for Power BI. Okay, data modeling a little bit. So what it is if you look at, let me expand this too. There's a relationship between the sales and the inventory table. Okay, this you can see do not have a primary key. Do not have a primary key because it was not defined because of the way we brought in the data. So you can see it's blank. The constraint is nothing. But I can decide to apply a primary key and also a foreign key. So the inventory is item number relates back to my product ID. Okay, relates back to my product ID. And so the product relates to in the sales table. Okay, so I want to make this my primary key, my order number. Not using the script, not using the SQL statement. I want to use the engine to do that. So what I do is the way it is now, I like that, right click. Okay. I can either do a modify or see modify that. Okay. Here, when it says modify, it's allow nulls. I'll have to first of all say no. So it won't allow null because primary key cannot be null. Okay, and then I click on that and then set as primary key. And then that's made it the primary key. And this one, I can now set as mute, please. Okay, this one, do I want to make it? It's not allowing me to do that in here, so I can leave that. But I think I should be able to set as primary key. No, it's not my primary. It's not my primary key. It's my foreign key. Oh, let me check constraints. No, nothing is. Can I edit as? No, no, no. I won't do that. Okay, I won't do that. Delete. Okay. Let me do a refresh. This is no, this one, it should have showed me as a primary key. And I executed this. Set it as primary key. Should have reflected my primary key status. This one should have reflected it. Let's go into properties. Is it showing me I have a primary key? It's not showing me. Why? I want to first of all get this as my primary key. Oh, still showing us. Okay, I can do something. Cancel that. I can. So I modify now. What is the change this? Okay, modify. Yeah. Yeah. So it should be good. So yeah. What I can do, I can alter. No, it's not going to allow me to alter. And I don't want to lose the data because I already have the data in there. Okay, what I can do, the other way I can do it to make it work the way I want. Okay. Of course, sometimes you have to go through this way. So I want to move all of the data that I have, which is the 800 rows, which I have in here. I want to create another table on the fly, and then I will move the data. So it's a bit of long route, but sometimes you just have to do it. So I want to move the data, I do a select star into the new table which I want. So I'll call that table sales 2. I'll call that table sales 2. You know, this table sales 2 does not exist before. And then I say from. So it's going to select everything from the sales table and put it into this new table, which I'm creating on the fly into here. Okay, and then I execute that. Is move those data. So if I refresh, I should have sales table 2. So you can see I have sales table 2. Now, what I can now do is I can now come in here and then say drop and recreate. You see here, drop and create. So I create that. And then here I can now put that as not null. And then I put a default. I'll put a default zeros. Okay. I'll just leave it to that. Here I can change that. I'll do a constraint. EK. It's Okay, so I can recreate it that way. And execute. So now I've recreated that table. So it's going to make me teach you something else again. So if I refresh now, the new table, you will see it is got that now. Okay, and you can see here. So here I can now come in and say keys, new foreign key. I can now say, okay, FK and which one is my foreign key? And so first preferential integrity, no. For now, yes. Keep that in post insert update. No. Let me leave this for now. I wanted to use this. It's not letting me do it this way. Not letting me do it this way. I don't want to set as primary key. I want to set as a foreign key. Hey, should just let me do it the way I want. Okay. Like that. Those dot code. Still not showing me. They're not showing me. Okay, I'll leave this for now. Okay. So I have these two tables, but I need to redefine this table again. I found out some things I didn't do right. So I can do a recreate again. And that's the name of the columns there. The spaces in there. So that is good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. So that is good. Okay. Execute. So good now. Now I want to move the data from here into here. And what I need to do is another statement. That is, when you want to insert data into a table, you use the keyword start into. You give the table name, the table you want to insert into, and then you list the columns. So you open that. That's my sales table. So these are all the columns I want to insert. I list them. And then I say insert into, yeah, select, copy, let's copy that from this table. So what I'm saying to this is that select everything. I didn't put a restriction here. Select everything from here and arrangement of the columns as well into this table. So for you to see, I have this bracket and close that list all the columns that I want to insert into. Okay, and here as well. And the number of columns I want to insert into here must equal what I am selecting from. They must be the same number, and they follow the same arrangement as well. If you miss, then it will sometimes throw errors. So best is just arrange them accordingly this way. And then I execute this. You know that this is blank before. So for us to see, select that from that table. Just for you to know that it's blank. There's no data in it. Once I execute this, you should have the data in it. What is the problem? Okay, yeah. Because I've made changes, now I understand. I know why. So this and this. And what I need to do in that case, I have to alias these ones. And this one. Okay. So that is the original name, that is the new name. Okay, so that matches. It's just the two. And you can see it's inserted that. So if I do a selection, then it should have 800 rows. And that is it. I have. And then now, this old table, which is good to have that, I can now, I don't want that table. So what I'll do is I'll do a drop. You have to say drop the object and then the name. So in this case, I want to drop this table. And that table is no longer there. But I do a refresh, it's no longer there. That's the two we have now. Okay, so, okay, all right. So let's do a bit of data modeling. Now, when you want to take data, I can take these two tables into Power BI and straight away it should be fine. But one thing is, say these tables contain millions, billions of rows of data. If I take the table directly into Power BI, meaning that there is no restriction, all the data in that table, in those tables, will be imported or connected to Power BI, and you don't want that. If your table is so big that it contains millions, billions of rows of data, it's going to slow down your Power BI report. So what you normally would do is, for you to go into Power BI, to take your data into Power BI, first, the good practice is for you to create a data model. First in your SQL and then also in your Power BI, which is going to translate into your Power BI when we get to Power BI. So now let's look at this inventory. I just want to study my data and see what I have, and then see how I'm going to model this data. So now I need a date table, I need items, I have the vendors, I have locations. So let's do, first of all, a select from here. Let's look at the data. So first of all, I need to create this into smaller chunks. I don't need everything this way. First, I have the item number, which is also repeated in the sales table. So good, that's the relationship. But then I can also have location, I have the vendor, and these are numeric values. Okay, what do I have in my sales? And my sales, I have the order number, I have the product, and I have the warehouse. Do I have warehouse here? and the warehouse will be that one. So, and the customer, okay. So I want to remodel this completely, and I'm going to break this down in a different way, okay? All right, so the first thing I want to do is I do not have a product table. And these are the names of my product. This is the product ID, and that's the product. Okay. So what I'll first of all do is, oh, sorry, this one, and I don't want all these ones. I want the item name. So if I do this, and I don't want the reorder date either, and I want to test the same thing on the sales side just to make sure that I'm right. So I'm going to bring the sales here, and I don't even want this. All I want is just this. And we don't want that. So that matches. So I have this, links back to this, I can get this. Okay, so good. So what I can call this, I change item number, I can now call it product ID. And this one, I can call it product name, right? I do a select there. And so if I do this, it's 70. So meaning there is no repetition. There's no repetition. So there's no need for me to do a. So here, I do not need this blank. No, I don't need it. So I'll say where item number is not blank. It's not. Oh, okay. I can write my it's not this way. It's not. I can write it this way as well, or I can write it no, because it's yeah, it's not not yeah, it's the best because it's numeric. Okay, if we're to be so. So it's not reading this as null, it is reading it as blank. So I will put it this way. It's not, oops, sorry. It's not reading that way. So I'll put it as not. That is it. It is not blank, right? Or I can write it this way also as apostrophe and not. That is, it's statement not equal to. Okay. Okay. So you say it's remove that now. So what I will do is I'll create this create view, and I want to call this one PW dimension underscore product as. Okay, so that's my view. Okay, create that. That's been created. And if I come in here, I should find it. And that is my view now. So if I execute this, and you can see, so I have created that. That is my first view. Okay, so I've created my first view. Let's go back. No, not. So I want to do the vendor. So let's do a select start from this. Report, paste it in here. Okay, I'm building a model now. So what I want to do is because you can see my vendors, they are repeating. The vendors are repeating. So what I would do is, and I need an ID for the vendor. So first of all, what I'll do is, let me do is select vendor. There. But I don't want my vendor. You can see this is repeating. You can see a code because you can see so it's repeating. I don't want the whole lot. I want unique vendor name. So what I'll do is I say distinct, which is going to select distinct. Vendor name is going to remove all the duplicates. And now I've just got 16. Okay. Now I need to imagine the vendor to how do I create a key for vendor? Let me see. Vendor. I want the first three letters. Yeah, I want the first three letters to be the vendor's name. Key. The first three letters. This will give me ACC, AK, ALL, APO, AST, X. I just want to see if it's going to be unique. Yeah, it's likely to be unique. Yeah, good. So what I want to do is I want to create, so I want to say, and I want the first three letters, even it from the left. So I will say left, right, bracket, the vendor name, and I want the first three letters, three, and then close, and then I'll call it um, vendor ID. Okay. If I do that, you can see, but I want it to be all lowercase, not uppercase. So I say lower, and close that back here. Okay. So it's going to change everything to lowercase. Right. Okay, so it's changed everything to lowercase. That becomes my vendor ID. Okay, so, and then say, I can now create another view. And then call it dim vendors or vendor. Dim vendor. Okay, and so I've created two now. So which one is next? I have location. Let's look at location as well. And see this. Let's take the distinct out first. Take that out. I don't need it for now. I just want to see the location. And here, the application is just the warehouse, which is just the same. So, okay, and yeah, so I will just leave as location, and I want the extent of that. I don't need a key for it. Oh, I can, but it's a key on its own, so I may not extinct. And then I'll call it stock location. They called it here, stock location. Stock location. I want this to show. Stock location. So that's been created as well. Okay. What can we do? Let's go to here. I think I've seen something. So I have my customer is here. So I need to get my customer out. So I need to get my customer out. And so, and I have my customer type. Okay, so let's do this. Copy this. I don't like this. This one. Let's order this so that I can see order uh, customer name. So it's going to arrange them and see. Okay, so a customer can be multi-type. It can be a wholesaler, can be an exporter, can be a distributor. Because you can look at this 21st limited is so customer can be. So what I can do, there are two ways to go about this. Is either I create a type, customer type and customer, or I create or I flatten everything. But this one looks like let's see, let's do this first. Uh, so I want it extinct, and then it's going to show me each customer. You will see how many types the customer or is. Okay. Okay. So look at 21st. It's got three types. Some are just two, some are like two. Yeah. Okay. What I can do, there are two ways to go about this. Is let's do it this way. So I have that. So now I want the customer ID. I want to create a customer ID. Let's use the first three letters as well. So I do a left. Uh, from the customer name, a customer ID. Then I want the type, customer type as well. So I want that ID. Okay, so I do that. Three. Okay, and then my type ID. So you see that. Okay. So now how do I separate this? Is it I leave it this way, which I don't, well, yeah, I can, which is going to be a flattened one. And so what I can now do is I want to now each of these customers is going to have a different customer ID. Each of them is going to have a different customer ID. So I will do these first two and these together will be my customer ID. So I would do that plus. Okay, that will be my customer ID. And then I want to, so I'll call these, no, take that out. Let's start there. Okay, so this is now my customer ID. I want it below a string. Okay. Okay, so this is now my customer ID. And, or if I want, I may not even put anything. Okay, so that will space. Okay, yeah. So this is wholesaler, this is distributor, this is exporter, wholesaler, distributor. So I don't need this. Again, it's not needed. So I have these three columns. That's now. So I can substitute this customer name in that table with this when we get there. You see what I'm going to do? Okay, so this is now going to be my new view. Great. View. Some. Okay. I cannot use this when creating a view. We will not allow that. So you have to do that. So I have stable view already as well. So what else is here? So I've got the product which I don't need more. I brought the customer data out. I have it. I have another script which I'll forward to you for the date table. Okay. And so I'm taking the wholesale, I've taken that out, taking the product, I've taken that out. Okay. inventory. Okay. Just want to see these together. First table, taking the item out, the order, last date of order, taking that out. The stock location is also have the cost, blah, 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 blah. And the price. Okay. So we're going to have two fact tables here. So we're going to have two fact tables here. So what I'm going to do, I want to create the first for the inventory. So and then select this one. I'll create that. I'll call this one last order date. Let's leave it at last order date. So this one item, and I'm going to call it. Let's go to the views. Let's see what we call those things. Fresh. Looking at the products table. Okay, so I have that. I don't need this anymore. I'm creating my fact table now. I need vendor, vendor ID. Which is going to come from V. This is going to come from P. It can come from here. I just name it that way. Okay. Location is this warehouse thing. So it's going to come in. What's the location? So I still leave it there, but it's called location. Okay, it's called location here as well, so I'll leave it. Okay. See that. Okay. Let me see. Let me do it. Let's join first. See what I get. If there's no two vendors, V on V dot vendor equals vendors, and this is inventory. So I'll call this one inventory management IM, and this one is going to be inventory management IM. So this one is going to be IM. But these other ones will still be the same thing. Okay, should be good. Yeah, I'm getting that from here. Should be good. Okay, all right. So I can create, okay, I mean not create a table for this. And it's myself, so that's the other item. I can see my inventory at any point in time by date. So I can, I'll leave this for now. I can call this one Great View. And the table or the view that holds your numeric value is always the fact in a dimensional model. So I'll call this one fact inventory. Start. Okay. Fact inventory. So I've created that. I have the sales one. Okay, here. I'll leave the date as it is, but the date, I don't want it as date. This is date time. I don't want it as date time. So I'll convert it to, I'll do a convert. And it's asking me for the target. I want it just as date. Okay. And rename it that way. So if I do that, it should change that the time will be taken out of that now. Okay, so you can see now it's taking out the time. Now I don't want this two in here, even okay, this is still good, this is still good. Okay, so this is my sales fact. So here now I will call this one sales, so it will be S dot from my sales table. Do this. Now let me just do this. Okay, so sales, and this is S. So let me do a left join to, I want to take away the customer. So go to customer. I'm joining on the customer name. Okay, I'm going to join on two things. Customer name, C, and this is customer C on C dot customer name. Okay, equals S dot customer name. Customer name and C dot customer type equals S dot customer type. Okay. And I want to just get my customer ID. C dot customer type. So before I remove those ones, just let us run it, get everything, and then you see what's the name, what I do wrong. What did I do wrong? Invalid name, customer name. Customer name. Customer name. It's customer name, isn't it? Oh, my bad. Okay, it's this one. It's even this. Customer. Okay. So you can see lane is also, so that matches this is export. This is distributor, so matches. So in that case, I don't need this two anymore. This will provide my link back to my customer. Okay. All right. That is back to warehouse. That is back to product. This is that. Okay, so I can create my view. Any questions? Please do ask me questions. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks good. So I've created all the views which I think, except for one, which is my date table. So you can see I have customer, I have product, I have location, I have the vendor, then I have the inventory and that fact. If I want, I can.
Sorry, sir. I have a quick question, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if you go up back to the previous view you created, where you have three, I'm just wondering, what is the three for?
Which one?
Keep going. It's up there. Where you have three. No, not here.
Is it here?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Customer name,
Yeah.
comma, three.
Yeah.
What was the three for, sir?
I said left. That is where I'm getting this from. If I execute this, you will see. I'm taking the first three letters from the customer name. The first
Oh,
three letters
okay.
from the customer name, and I'm starting from the left. That is why I'm using left.
Yes, okay.
If
Okay.
I want to start from the right, I will
From
say
the right.
right. Okay.
Okay.
So, and then I say start from the left, right? Customer name, right? Which is start from the left here, and then select the first three letters.
Three letters. So is this kind of a join or?
It's not a join. It's I'm breaking the column down into parts.
Okay, I was
So I
confused
want
there
just
when
the
I saw
first
left.
three
Thought it was
columns.
a left join.
Yeah. So if you look at, if I run this, you will
Yeah.
see. I did it earlier for product or something. Oh. Yeah, you can see our, right? In
Oh
fact, I need to
yes.
go to change here. Our, right? And that. So it's taking the first three letters and then the first three letters here as well. And join the two
Okay.
together.
Okay.
Concatenate the two together. Okay. So, but like now, I want it to be all small letters. So I want to force that to be small letters.
Lower. Okay.
Lower. Okay. So I can now change that to alt.
What's up here?
So it's going to, it's altered this.
Successful.
So when I run, I'm not running the view, I'm just running the software. So it's change it now. Right. And then if I want to use that as well. So lower.
Mm.
Yeah, let me do lower. Okay.
Those brackets.
So that is going to be I am using that as my ID because why?
Okay.
If you find the companies, a company can be three different data customer type. Can be an importer and an exporter, can be a distributor, can be a wholesaler.
Yes.
So, and I want the type to actually define. So I don't want I want the pre-customer type to be distinct. And if I've just done for one customer and then don't care about their customer type, but the business may want to see what their distributors are doing compared to what their exporters are doing. But if I don't separate it that way, then it will just lump all the sales or all the sales for a customer together without having to break it down into either its export, wholesale, or distribution. So I have to create a unique ID for when the customer is a distributor, for when the customer is an exporter, for when the customer is a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
And
sir.
because that is not defined in the data set we have, I generated this. So this is what's called data transformation, because this data did
Transformation.
not exist before. I'm now creating it. Okay.
Okay.
So what is happening?
Thank you, sir.
Right. So I have done this one's now. That one is done. So we have all these three. And then let's see what we've created. So let's do select I want to merge everything together again, and you say I want the customer name. Okay, that's all I want. I don't want anything more. I want the product name. I want the product name. I want the location. I want the vendor. I want the vendor. I want the sales. I want the quantity the customer is buying. I want the revenue, and I want the cost. Okay. So this is coming from my sales fact. These three coming from my sales fact. So sales fact sales .fs, and this is coming from dim vendor EV. This is coming from dim location. This is coming from dim product, dim P, and this is coming from the customer in C customer. I have that. 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 Okay, because I'm doing it from the left. So from the customer, DC is on DC, and I'm doing a left join to in fact self on fs dot customer ID equals DC dot customer ID, and then I'm doing another left going to product in product DP on DP. Now, can somebody tell me how am I going to get to join dim product? Where am I joining dim product to?
Project name.
Yeah, where I'm joining product name to what? Which table or which view am I joining the dim product to?
Dot customer?
No, there's no relationship between customer and product. Because you have to look at
Other details.
Is there any relationship between them?
No.
No, so I can't join to it.
Other details?
No, other date is a column in which table or which view?
Others table?
I don't have others table.
Vendor.
There's no relationship.
Product number.
How do I join it to product number? I can't. I can't join it to product number.
Is
You
it
look,
revenue then?
no. So look at it here now. My sales table, my sales fact, right? It's got relationship to all the tables. It's got relationship to product, I'm sorry, customer. It's got to the warehouse location, which is stock location, and it's got to product. So that is what I'm going to do. This is my you find out that this will be my biggest table in this model because it contains everything, all the transactions, and the transactions can be one or many, okay? But you find out that my DIM product is only a distinct list of all my products. And my customer is only a distinct list of all my customers. And also the same thing with my location. Okay, and also the same thing with my vendor. So those tables will be very small, but my fact table, which is where you keep your numeric value, the grain, the profit, the main thing that actually drives a business, which is their sales, is always in what? Is always in the fact table. It calls it fact. That is why we call it fact. It's the fact of the business. This is what the business is doing. That is where you keep it. But you don't bring in the customer name and everything like we had initially into it when you're doing a dimensional model. You want as much as possible to streamline. Because why? We are going to be driving our sales by customer, by product, by vendor. And you don't want those ones. You want a table where you're just keeping them and then you're having their key repeated for how many transactions they have carried out in the fact table. Okay? So that is why you see, first of all, I'm joining straight to this table. I could have put it in the first table, doesn't really matter. And then every other one is going to be joining back to it because they have a relationship with it based on this. Okay? So my DIM is going to go to I call it product ID here, but it's called product code here, which I should have changed. FS dot, and it's called the product code here. Okay. And also I'm doing another left to vendors, which is DV on DV dot my vendor ID. Okay, here now I didn't do something which I'm supposed to have done. I didn't do something which I'm supposed to have done. Let me go back, let me step back, and if I can retrace my steps. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, how do I get my vendor into here? I do not have vendor in here. So I need to relate the vendor back. So it's quite still simple. I know where I have my vendor. My vendor is in my inventory. If I come in here, my vendor is here, so I can link the vendor back. So what I will do is, first of all, go back to, I do a left join to my inventory. And then I'll call it fact inventory on FI dot vendor ID. No, sorry, I'm joining to that. I'm joining back on to that on my inventory should have my product. Okay, I have my product ID, so I'm joining to that my product ID. equals sales fact to product. Is it product ID, product code? Product code. Okay. Though I'm not taking anything from the vendor, from the inventory here, which I can now because I've already joined it. So now I'm joining that to the vendor, and then I'm joining that to my, oh, sorry. It's a vendor ID, the vendor ID. Okay. So I've joined those one together, and I've joined this one together. So I should be good now. Just I'll be bound. Which one? Multi-bound. Yeah. Oh, I've not joined the location. So left join. It's DL. DL. Equals this warehouse. Okay, that should be good now. And that is it. Now, which is what is called analysis, I can now do, I didn't bring the dates in here. So I can now do a sum. And do some aggregation on them now. That is that. But because I'm doing a sum aggregation, I have to do a group by. Okay. What did I do? Upfront, sorry, sum. What did I do? Oh, data type virtual. Okay. This is where, okay, I can't sum this because it's not in the right numeric value. So let me see. Okay, I'll take that out. Okay, for this purpose, let me take out the contribute first. I'll do that. The others I'm good. I have to change it. Yes.
Can we convert a data type with this?
Yes, but sometimes I can, but it may throw some error. Let's try it, but it's better to use the right data type from the onset. So if I want to do that here, I can do convert that into
Integer.
No. Integer is not. It's convert it to integer is small. This is quantity, so it doesn't have the. So I convert it to big int. Okay. Then I close that bracket. I hope it will allow me, because data type conversion, especially from Batcher to this, is always a problem. Okay, good. It's brought it back. Okay, so this is it. And then this one's now, I can now say, this one's, I want this one, especially revenue and my cost. I want this as cost, that as decimal, and I want it 18 two decimal places. Okay, and the name of the bracket. Okay, and this one, cost decimal, but I don't want decimal places for this. Let me put the decimal place. Then 18 as well. Then 2. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you can see that now. So if I look at these whole numbers, so well, this is okay. And then you can see now, from that data, you can see what I'm getting back now. So you can see this is actually based on, look at this unlimited, it's actually based on the 3 different types. So here I can also bring in, I have the customer, I want to see it by the type as well. So I do.
Sorry, sir, where is 18 coming from?
18 is the number of digits.
Should not exceed 18?
No, yeah, it's 18. And out of that 18, the last 2 will be the decimal place. So it will be 16, then decimal, and then the last 2. And we always use 18. You can use any number really, but we always use 18 because if your figures is like 1 billion, 1 trillion, you count the number of zeros that comes with it. You understand? So that is why you always, or you can put, I can put 10 if I know my figures is not going to be more than 1 billion. Because 1 billion is 9 digits. Or even 10 is 10. So if you put the 10, then it will only take, it will not give you the decimal that comes with it. So for you to accommodate 1 billion, it will be 12 at least. That is the first 10, which is 1 billion, 1 plus 9 zeros, dot, right? And then the double zeros as well. So it even takes into account the dots as well. So the 9 zeros as well. So you need at least for you to be able to accommodate that. So that is why, but normal standard, you do 18 or 24, but most of the time you do 18. And then the last 2 is your decimal. And if you don't want a decimal, you can just put 0 here. Okay, and then it was going to return like this one. If I don't want the decimal because it's 0, I can just take it and then do. I'm going to talk on data types next week, the next class as well. Okay, so if I change that, no, sorry, what did I do? Okay, I was doing this. Let me quickly bring this in. Customer. And I have to bring it into my join grouping as well. Okay. And then you can see everything. But because I brought in the customer type, it's broken it down. And you can see the warehouse that is related to, and you can see the vendors that is sold to, and that is what is sold. Okay. And so if I want it more aggregated, then I can. I have to take this one out as well. Okay. And I can do that. And then you see, and so you look at this bamboo from this customer, and that's the warehouse that's the vendor, and that's the sales. So I can, in my report, I can now have insights, analytics that will show me the overall. If I want to show the overall what the business is doing without any by customer, I don't want to break it down by anything, by location or anything, and then I can take those ones out, and then it's just going to group that for me, and then you can see. So I can see the whole, all of the transactions by customer and the quantity and everything, and then I can begin to break down. Okay, let me see it by product. So I include that, and then when I run this, I have to include that here, and then you can see it begins to break it down. Okay, I want to see it by, I don't even want to see, I want to see it by the location as well. You can see, and then I begin to expand and go ahead. But it's now at the aggregated level. You know, what we had before was at the transactional level, but now I've brought it into the aggregation level because why? I have aggregated by using the keyword sum. And sometimes I want to know the average, just not want to know the total sum, I want to know the average you are doing per customer or per location or anything, and we can do this. And this is what we now take into Power BI. Okay, and then we'll create the report in Power BI, and then users can, and then you can, that can be distributed. Okay, and now I can even expand on this and say, okay, when I have this customer, this sales, I want to see my inventory. What is the stock inventory after this customer has purchased as well? But that will be a little bit tricky in the sense that the date of your inventory must match the date of the sales. So you say, okay, on this day we sold to this client. This is what we had before we sold to this client. This is what we had left after selling to this client. And then you can see how your stock is depleting. And then you know when to stock up or when to instruct production to kick in again and stuff like that. And then you can find out your top best location, your top best product, your top best customers, your worst customers, and stuff like that from just this ordinary data, which normally you won't see, but when you begin to perform analytics on it, then you can see all this as well. And then you can also do, which is going into a bit of data science, is you can also do, well, it's still deep analytics, not really data science. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that. So I can now see which product, like there was a place where I worked some few years back, and what we did was, okay, this is the data for all the transactions the business has carried out, right? But we do not have the data for the business, for the transaction the business has not done. So we had an analytics which looks at our top 10 products and our top 10 distributors in that business. But then what we wanted to do is, we wanted to see our bottom 10, our bottom 100 distributor, and look at the product which they are selling and compare it to the product which the top 10 to top 100 are selling. And if the bottom one are not selling the product which the top one are selling, we will now use that we use that to find out and then advise or tell the bottom ones that, look, why don't you sell this product? This product is moving. We won't tell them that this distributor is selling it, but we tell them this is our 10th top product. Why don't you try this one? Why don't you try this one? You know, and stuff like that. Why don't you sell this with this? Because we can also find insight in that customer who bought this product also brought this other product. But when you look at the data, normally you won't see it. But when we do the analytics on it, then we will be able to find and tell you, okay, the customer that bought this one also buy this one. And that is a little bit of deep analytics, which you can also do in Power BI. Okay. So now I have prepared this data model for us. I will want you to go watch this video, create the tables. I will send a file to you, create this table, load the data in, and then create your own model ready for me in the next class. Because in the next class, I'm going to break through as well. We may not be able to, but what I will want to do is, I will probably, if I can now, I'll probably introduce you to Power BI. And then next class, we're going to go into Power BI. Okay? So before I go into Power BI, any questions?
So,
Yes?
oh, sorry. So I thought you were supposed to maybe someone asked a question about the last assessment that you told us that in the
Yes,
next
I will
5
do that,
minutes.
but let me introduce Power BI. We may spend a little bit time longer because if I want to be able to, in the next class, which will probably be my last, is I want to be able to take you Power BI. We create a dashboard quickly. Okay, so I just want you to introduce it to all the functions in Power BI for today, and then next class, and then I will quickly do that as well. I will probably rush that in 10 minutes, and then we can take the classes, the questions as well. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions again before I quickly go into that?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, I want to ask, for each database you created, is it going to give us a separate page as I'm seeing it on your screen now?
No.
For instance, the SQL
I didn't
query.
create many. I only created one database.
Okay,
Today.
because I'm like,
No, I created views. This is
Okay.
the database which I created today. But within that database I have these two tables, which I brought in from the Excel file. And then from these two tables, I created these views.
Okay.
Okay, these views. Okay. I created this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I created those 6 views. And that is what I've used here. I've already used all the three. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Sir.
Yeah, you were talking about the product ID and product code. Did you want to change it or something?
Yeah, just change it. It's just the name, which doesn't really matter. It's just the name here.
Are you saying we can use the product ID instead of the product code?
Yeah. You use the product ID.
Okay.
Yeah. I can
Alright.
change it just to make it clear. Okay, let me go into it. That's on the sales part. I click
Yeah.
and then we do alter. Okay, and the product code, even this one also, let me change it to. So I just do it as product ID. Okay. And this one, the location, what did I call it here? So it's location as location. So I'll leave that as it is. Okay, that's it. That's changed now. Okay, and here now I just make the change. If I don't change it, it's going to throw me an error. Yeah, you see. Start.
You left out the last line. You didn't copy the last line. That's why.
Exactly here as well. Okay.
Yeah. You still left it out. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So quickly,
Okay.
let's quickly look at Power BI. Just introduce the functions to you on Power BI. Let me open my Power BI.
So,
Yes.
okay, I think in the earlier times you said that the DM view is like a virtual table. So does it mean it's not,
Views.
yeah, does it mean it's not saved in the database?
It is saved. That's why I say it is the query that is saved. The data is still in the underlying table.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, the table, the view do not hold any data. It only holds the definition, which we call metadata. It only holds the definition of the data that is going to present to you when you execute it. Okay, or when you call it, as the case may be, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Okay, this is my Power BI. Normally, your Power BI is a desktop application, and this desktop application is where you develop your visuals, your insight, your dash. You develop your reports, but you create your dashboard when you get to Power BI service. Okay, but in this case, Power BI desktop is where you create your report, your dashboard, your everything. But that is also changing gradually, okay, because what Microsoft is doing is actually that they're making, they're beginning to take Power BI desktop online as well. So from Power BI service, you can create some reports as well, but does not have the same full functionality as your Power BI desktop. And your Power BI desktop really is free. You can use it for anything you want whatsoever. But the downside of it is that you cannot share that report, or you can share the report with people, but it will not refresh. If you make any change on your side of the Power BI, it will not reflect on the side of the other person you shared it with. Okay? And your data refresh will not be the same, except if that person have access, you've granted that person access to access the data, your data connection. Okay? And Power BI desktop is not portable. It only resides on your desktop. For you to be able to share the report which you create in Power BI desktop, you have to publish it to your Power BI service. I'll show you Power BI service next week. You have to publish your Power BI service, and we can all have the free license, meaning that you can have a Power BI service, publish your report into there, and you can consume it, but you cannot share it with other people. The only way you can share with other people is you have to give them your password. But if you have a license, the pro license, which is £10 per month, $10 per month, which is paid annually, then when you publish that, when you publish your Power BI desktop to your Power BI service on your network, your domain network, then anybody within your domain network that has got the Power BI Pro license as well can access those reports. But if the person do not have the Pro license, then they cannot access as well. You need a minimum of a Pro license to share your Power BI desktop visuals on Power BI service to other people. Okay. Now,
Sir, can I install it on Mac?
yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Because I tried last time, it didn't go through.
I think somebody did come back and explain to people, really, but because I don't use Mac. So when it comes to Mac, I'm really rubbish.
I think you can only use the web version.
The web, no, that's the Power BI service. The Power BI service, you cannot develop really in it. You have to have published from Power BI desktop into Power BI service for you to be able to have the data source to use in Power BI service. It's a bit in and out, in and out. Okay, so I want to create, let me open my, so this is my blank canvas. You see here, import. Excel is one of the easy data source for Power BI. Okay, so like the one which that Excel file is quiet. I can connect it here, and then I can still the same model which I created in SQL, I can create it here as well, but that is just a little bit long winding. Okay, so you can connect to Excel, you can connect to SQL Server, you can paste the blank, and then you can use sample. They have sample data for you, so you can play around with it as well. Okay, but that's not the only. These are not just the only data source you can connect to Power BI desktop. There's so many, about over 100 plus. Okay, the top here, which is the top menu, you have your file. When you click on that, then you can see your open, your save, and all the stuff like that. And then you can also access your get data and share as well. Okay, come back, you go to home, which is here, and then you have your ribbon. Your ribbon here, because I don't have anything, and so that's why the paste and the copy and cut is deactivated. Once I have anything here, then it becomes active. Then I have my get data, which is, you can see, this is the the common data sources that we have, and this is, this is Flow, that is Excel, that is, you see here, I'm talking about Power BI semantic model, which is, and then you have a database, you have the SQL, and other stuff like that. And you can see you can still get your Excel, you can import from one lake, then SQL Server as well, which is then your database and lake. You can have your recent data sources here, and then you can have your transform here. And here is where you can pick your different visuals, which you can place in here. This one is just a mirror of what we have on the right-hand side here, which is a vast one, okay? And then you can create new calculation, you create new dimension, you create a quick measure and stuff like that. And then you can also use Copilot as well. Here on the extreme right, you have these icons here. You have report, which is this page which we have, where you have your report as the icon report view. Then you have your data view, which is when we ingest data into Power BI, then we can see those the data in here. We can actually come in and click here, and then we can select the table or view, and then we can view the data, the raw data. And then here you have the model, which is, we're going to see that when we come in with the data. We don't have anything here for the moment. We can see we create our relationship and stuff like that. And then this one is, now we have the DAX query. And let me say this, that Power BI, though, yes, you may not, if you have, like what I have done, which is not even robust enough, but then you can create all your calculation and everything in your data source, like in our case, SQL Server, and then use Power BI just as a wrapper to display this data and share. However, for you to have the best of it, also you can create calculations in Power BI using the another language which is called the DAX, and the DAX, DAX, and that stands for Data Analytics Expression. Data Analytics Expression. Okay, so I will give you a bit introduction into DAX next week as well. So that's why I just quickly want to go through all this now. So, but we're not taking it off for now, this one. So this is your DAX. This is where you write your you can. And then there's another plugin which you need to make it work really, which is the Dark Studio. Okay. But let me go back home. Right. So this is where you begin to say here build. And then this is the visuals which we're building. Right. This one, I know it is the R, which is another language, and this is the Python visuals, which you can bring in as well. And different visuals. And then here you see it says that's our data. When we bring in our data, we don't have anything. And then here you say it's our build, which is that one. And then here it is our format. You can format your view, your visuals. Okay. And then you can do a lot of things here. You can format the page and all the stuff like that. And once this is done, which is not activated now because I don't have anything in here, and then I can bring in, I can format my visuals as I want, okay? And for me, normally when I want to bring in data into Power BI, like I've already created those views in Power BI right now, I can now come in here and click transform. I can come in here and select from here as well, but I always, my tutor and mentor, it's best here because you have a bit of flexibility here. So when I click on this transform select and then import transform data, right, it takes me to the what is called the Power Query Editor. It takes me into Power Query Editor, which is also another engine that is plugged into Power BI Desktop. And that is where you can ingest, that's what you use to ingest data into Power BI. And you can do your transformation and data meshing and all the stuff like that in there through that. Okay, we'll go into that quickly. But then let me quickly go through this. And then here you can insert different things. You can even have the generated report, which is coming. And then you can even, I don't know if you know about Power Apps and then Power Automate, you can bring them in also into Power BI here. Okay. And then you can bring in text box, buttons, images, and stuff like that. And then our modeling, which is that bit, we can bring in, I can import new tables, I can bring in parameters and stuff like that. And then you can do a view of your team. That is the team which your report will take after or will follow. Okay, the coloring, your company colors and all the stuff like that, you can build those ones in here. And then here you can optimize, which is you can pause. Say you have a big data, you connect it to a large data volume, and each time you make change, it tries to refresh itself. You can pause that and then wait until after you've done all your changes and everything before you can actually do a refresh. And then you can also optimize your presets here and the performance analyzer, say your is running, your reports of visual is running slow. Okay. And then back home here. So if I want now, let's go to that, and that's where I'm going to end. I'll just ingest the data and then I'll close for today and then go to the questions. So I click on transform data. It opens up this window, which you see at the top here says Power Query Editor. So this is a different application that is plugged into Power BI Desktop. Okay. Now, if I have already created a data source, which is a connection between Power BI Desktop to my SQL server or my Excel data and worksheet or whatever is my data source. If I already created that, it's going to show me here. If not, then I have to create a new one. Okay, so you can see here, I don't have any recent, so it's telling me that I don't have anything. So if I click on here, it's going to bring that. You see, we saw that earlier. So in this case, mine is SQL Server. Click on SQL Server. Then it's asking me for the name of my server. And then it's asking me optionally for the name of my database. So for me to do that, let me go in here and get the name of my server. So this is the name of my server here. So for me to do that, just come in here. I like that. Click on properties. It comes in here and I'll just come in, just the top one at the top, and I'll copy that. This is what I'm copying, this one. I'll copy that. I'm not copying the name, so I mean, this where is the word name? No, not copying that. So I come in and I paste it in here. Okay. And then I want my database, and my database I know is inventory. Inventory. Is it one word? I can't remember. Okay, let me just do a rename, and then I'll copy that as well. Yeah, I'll bring it in here. So I just paste that in here as well. So now you see it says data connectivity mode. You have two types. You have the import mode, which is what happens in that case is that Power Query connects to your database, your server, your database, and it takes a copy of the data into Power BI and is stored in the cloud in Azure Blob. It takes a copy of your data and copies it into Power BI Blob Cloud. Okay. If you do a direct query, it is only connecting to your data source and querying your data source directly. It is not copying your data to anywhere. Your data remains where it is. It is not taking a copy of it. Your data remains there. And this is, so you have two options, because some people or some organizations may have problem with a copy of the data being transmitted to another location, especially if it is a sensitive data. So if it's not a sensitive data, or you trust the Microsoft Blob, which has never, since it's been around, there has never been any time it's been compromised. Okay, but then there's some rules and policies, which especially in the United Kingdom here, GDPR, which is the data cannot leave this country. Say your company has or even Microsoft is in America and is storing your data in America, no, you have breached the GDPR. So you have to be careful. So your business will tell you which applies. Okay, so we do import most of this. So I'm going to take a copy of this data and ingest it into Power BI blob storage. Okay, and then you can click on advanced here, which we're not using. If you want to use select statement for SQL, you can say SQL statement, which is optional. But in this case, because I already created the views, I don't need to. So I click on OK. And then it's establishing that connection. Okay, and then you can see straight away, it didn't go to my tables, it went to my views straight. Right? And this is now, I can now select what I want to import. I may not import everything. The one I want to import, I'll click on. I want this. It will show you the data type and the data in it, a sample of it. This one, it will show you the sample of it. So I can see as you are selecting, right? Okay. And these are my two tables. I don't need those. Okay. And then when I click OK, it's now bringing the tables, it's ingesting the data into a storage, and you can see now I have all the data in here. Okay, I have my data in here, and then I can do some transformation and manipulation, which I'm not going to go into today. And this is where I'm going to stop for this one. We will continue from here next week. Okay, now let's go to the tutorial. What is the question you have? Sorry. What is the question on the tutorial? Can you unmute yourself and let me know? I want to stop this video because it's like 2 hours.